Hi there guys, this is MattiAce. I'm coming at you here with my first video covering the Fedorov Optical. And well, I have actually shown you this in a few videos before, but this is going to be the first video that I dedicate to this specific weapon. Now, for obvious reasons, this weapon is rather similar to the trench version, which I covered recently. I'll put the link to that video in the description if you want to see that one as well. Now, if you want to get your hands on this weapon, you need to have the Russian DLC, or as it's called, In the Name of the Tsar. Now, as I'm sure you know, that is not all that is required. You also need to get 50 kills with the Selbstlader 1916 Optical, something that I'm sure you're not going to find all that complicated. What I had a little bit more trouble with, or what took a little longer, was this, to get 20 kills with the C96 pistol. There! I got the Fedorov. Now I can try that weapon out. That's gonna be fun.
We have taken objective
Now, the way this weapon handles is well worth paying attention to, especially when it comes to longer ranges. But first, let me show you another one of my favorite dice moments. No! Why did I fell to death? I fell to death. Wow. And at DICE obviously like, oops, I did it again. So yeah, the handling of this weapon is actually quite important, even though it is rather basic, at least if you are an experienced PC player. It has relatively common recoil, which is that it pulls the weapon up, and also a little bit side to side. But the main thing to focus on in the beginning is to pull your mouse downwards a little bit if you're firing full auto, or you do something similar with your controller. I'm not entirely sure how to explain that, because I've never really controlled a recoil playing on a console. However, as I'm going to demonstrate shortly, if you're shooting at ranges past, I would say 25-30 meters, you're gonna have to start tap firing. And because this weapon has such slow fire rate, my suggestion is that you tap fire, at least in most situations, in a way that gives you a one bullet shot for each burst. Here you can see a couple of failed examples when I'm shooting at these two enemies, landing a few bullets, one headshot, but without killing any one of them. I'm sure you noticed that I was using 2 bullet bursts, even though I was shooting at way too far range for anything else than single fire, and it didn't pay out all that well. As you will see throughout the video, tap firing with 1 bullet per tap is sometimes very, very successful. So now here is how the weapon behaves if you just use simple standard recoil control. This is of course full auto, and I'm pulling my mouse back or towards me in order to compensate for the recoil trying to pull the weapon up. Next up here you will see what happens if I do not control the recoil, and as you can see, the recoil isn't all that bad. Now, if you are not all that used to handling weapons like this, then I would suggest you to go to an empty server like I do and just control the weapon similar to how you see me doing it in these examples. And for the ones of you, again, who are new to this, in only a few minutes you will probably notice a big difference. It's actually quite easy. Now here in the last example, I was using a 1 bullet tap fire, and as you can see, the bullet holes are very tight together. I will show you the difference here in the next examples as well. That first example was full auto, and here comes a 1 bullet tap fire. I'm sure it's quite clear when you look at the bullet holes that there is a significant difference in shooting full auto, controlling the recoil, and when you're tap firing. Now, I think this weapon actually comes with single fire mode, and if that is something that you prefer, then you should go ahead and try it out. I have never used it, and I don't use it in any of these examples either. I prefer to control that myself by the way that I tap the left mouse button. There's a guy here somewhere. Oh. Now, so far I have not been able to decide which one of the Fedorov versions that I prefer, nor have I decided whether or not any of these ones are my actual favorite medic weapon. Many times I still prefer one of the self-slaughters, in some situations a Mondragon or Mondragon, however you say it, and I probably still believe that the autoloading extended is my absolute favorite, but yeah, again, I haven't really decided. Now, back in the days in some of the older Battlefield games, the medic class was very dominating. Now, we clearly don't see that in Battlefield 1, but the gadgets, the possibility to heal and to revive, are still very, very important. I believe that the medic class is, for the most part, the game-deciding factor to whether or not you're going to win or lose a game. And at least from my own experience, when I have good medics with me, I do a lot better. Many times when I play, I wish that everyone that played Scout in my team would switch to medic. But yeah, I guess that's not gonna happen. I also want to point out that when I play medic, I do try to revive and I do try to heal as much as I can, but looking back at footage such as this, it's very easy to see for a backseat gamer when you miss a few revives here and there. Also keep in mind that every revive is normally a risk for a medic, and it can sometimes be a little bit hard to know when it's worth it, both in terms of risk and in terms of time. Sometimes when you're pushing forward in a certain direction, you really want to keep moving in order for the enemies not to be able to regroup and respawn in, and therefore it might not be worth it to either go back or in the wrong direction in order to revive one guy. But yeah, basically every situation is a unique situation. So yeah, this video is going to continue with more examples of me using this weapon, so I hope you will enjoy it. My name is MattiAce, and I want to thank you all for watching.
Вижу медика! Смотри, медик! Да ты ранен! Я тебя подыщу! Аптечка! Я тебе помогу! Это тебе аптечка! Я тебя подлатаю! Аптечка, лови! Аптечка пригодится!
Halfway there, the enemy has the upper hand.
Ранили? Я помогу! Вот тебе аптечка! Спасибо!
No! Oh, look at that! I have an army after me! Look at how many people that were chasing me.
Берегись! Там штурмовик!
Feel awful. Oh! I got him.
Аптечка! Используй с толком! Ранили! Я тебе помогу!
We have taken objective Duff.
Это тебе аптечка!
I have to tap fire a lot.
Вот тебе аптечка.
Oh, that grenade!
Аптечка, лови! Это тебе аптечка? Нам надо сменить.
Losing objective butter.
Это тебе аптечка. Вот, лови, аптечка. Боеприпасы, бери. Аптечка, пригодится. Вон там. Там их раз.
Ah, I couldn't get out.
Ранен. Я тебя подлатаю. Да ты ранен. Я тебя подлечу. Аптечка. Я тебя заштопаю. Аптечка. Вот тебе аптечка. Я тебя подлатаю. Аптечка, подлечить.
Oh, that was a friendly.
Тебя подлечить.
Where is this fire coming from everywhere?
Я займусь твоей раной. Аптечка пригодится.